In the cesspool of modern American politics, the Democrat Party stands as a monument to moral bankruptcy, a once proud institution now reduced to a vacuous entity that stands for absolutely nothing except the relentless pursuit of power at any cost. Led by spineless opportunists and infiltrated by the toxic left's radical ideologues, today's Democrats have abandoned any pretense of principle, embracing instead a toxic brew of obstructionism, corruption, and outright Marxism. This isn't hyperbole. It's the grim reality staring us in the face as we hurtle towards national self-destruction. The party's leadership, from the geriatric puppet masters like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to the shadowy deep state enablers, has transformed the Democrats into a machine of deceit and division, all while virtue signaling about democracy and justice. Take, for instance, the shameless obstructionism orchestrated by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a man whose career epitomizes the Democrat ethos of rules for thee, but not for me. In a brazen display of partisan extortion, Schumer and his Democrat cronies have ground the confirmation process for President Trump's nominees to a screeching halt, demanding over $1 billion in federal funding releases and ironclad promises against future spending cuts as their pound of flesh. This isn't governance, it's blackmail, pure and simple. Senate Majority Leader John Thune rightly called it unprecedented, marking the first time in recent memory that a minority party has weaponized the Senate floor to block all quick confirmations, forcing laborious roll call votes on even the most routine appointments. Trump himself blasted it as political extortion on social media, refusing to bend the knee and urging Republicans to walk away from the farce. Now, with the Senate in August recess, whispers of rules changes loom in September to bypass the Democrat-induced gridlock. But the damage is done. Key government positions languish unfilled, policy implementation stalls, and the American people pay the price for Schumer's petty power play. This is the Democratic Party in action, standing for nothing but sabotage when they're out of power, all to cling to relevance in a Trump-dominated era. Yet this obstruction pales in comparison to the toxic left's overt embrace of Marxism, which the Democrat leadership has welcomed with open arms, proving their ideological void is filled only by radical extremism. Look no further than the party's fawning over figures like Zohan Mamdani in New York, a self-avowed democratic socialist whose ascent in the state assembly symbolizes the Democrats' slide into outright collectivism. Mamdani, a darling of the Democratic Socialists of America, pushes policies that reek of Marxist redistribution, defunding police, championing equity instead of equality, and advocating for government control of industries under the guise of climate justice. But he's just the tip of the iceberg. The Democrats have elevated radicals in Congress who make no bones about their disdain for American capitalism and exceptionalism. Jasmine Crockett, the bombastic Texas congresswoman, embodies this with her race-baiting rhetoric and calls for reparations that would bankrupt the nation, all while cozying up to the party's far-left fringe. Then there's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the queen bee of performative socialism, whose Green New Deal is nothing short of a Marxist manifesto disguised as environmentalism, banning air travel, guaranteeing jobs for the unwilling, and nationalizing energy production. She's flanked by the Squad, the cabal of agitators including Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley, who spew anti-American vitriol, defend Hamas sympathizers, and push for open borders that erode national sovereignty. And let's not forget Bernie Sanders, the perennial socialist grifter whose democratic socialism has infected the party's platform, normalizing ideas like universal basic income and Medicare for all that would explode deficits and crush individual liberty. These aren't fringe elements. They're the Democrat vanguard, tolerated and promoted by leadership that stands for nothing beyond electoral expediency. The toxic left's Marxist creep isn't subtle. It's a full-throated assault on the free market, private property, and the Constitution itself, dragging the party into an abyss of failed ideologies that have doomed nations from Venezuela to the Soviet Union. Compounding this ideological rot is the Democrats' nauseating tolerance of corruption, a festering wound inflicted by luminaries like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and their deep state accomplices. A recently declassified House Intelligence Committee report lays it bare. Russian intelligence amassed a trove of dirt on Clinton during her 2016 campaign, including allegations of heavy tranquilizer dependency, uncontrolled fits of anger, and debilitating health woes like type 2 diabetes and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Obama and his inner circle deemed this extraordinarily alarming, yet they buried it, propping up Clinton's facade of invincibility while fearing Russian blackmail if she won. Instead of transparency, the Obama administration and Clinton's camp funded the infamous Steele dossier through shady law firms like Perkins Coie and Fusion GPS, a fabricated web of lies accusing Trump of Russian collusion to deflect from Clinton's own email scandals and alleged pay-to-play schemes at the State Department. Russian hacks exposed Democrats' favoritism trades for donations, but rather than come clean, Obama-era spooks like CIA Director John Brennan and FBI Director James Comey suppressed the truth, weaponizing the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane probe despite warnings that the dossier was laced with Russian disinformation and Clinton dirty tricks. This wasn't incompetence. It was a calculated deep state conspiracy to rig the narrative, all while Democrats preached about election integrity. The party's hypocrisy knows no bounds. They decry foreign interference when it suits them, but embrace corruption when it's their own. Ongoing probes into Brennan and Comey hint at accountability, but the damage to public trust is irreparable, courtesy of a leadership that stands for nothing but covering its tracks. In the end, the opportunistic left, embodied by this hollow Democrat Party and led around by the nose by the toxic left, deserves our disgust and condemnation. They peddle division, corruption, and Marxist fantasies not out of conviction, but as tools to seize and maintain power, discarding them when inconvenient. If our nation doesn't course correct from this toxic spiral of deceit and ideological extremism, we're doomed to the ash heap of history in short order. It's time we reject the Democrats' nothingness and reclaim America's soul before it's too late. And that starts with ridiculing the toxic left and making them a laughingstock to be pitied and shunned, not embraced and tolerated. When we return, our segment on America's Third Watch, broadcast nationally from our flagship station, WGUL AM 860 and FM 93.7 in Tampa, Florida.